The first thing she feels is breath on her neck. Hot. Too close. Uninvited. She stiffens, pulse spiking, instinct screaming before thought can catch up. The crowd around her shifts, laughter, music, the clink of glasses, but none of it reaches her properly anymore. All she can hear is the man behind her leaning in. His voice low and familiar in a way that makes her stomach turn. "There you are," he murmurs. "You've been difficult to find." She does not answer. She does not turn. Because she knows him. Not by name. Not by title. But by the way his presence presses, the way he assumes access. By the fact that he has followed her across the ballroom as if she were something owed. Her fingers curl into the fabric of her skirts. "I said I wasn't interested," she says quietly. A chuckle. Close enough that it brushes her ear. "You misunderstand how interest works." Her throat tightens. She looks for an exit. The nearest door is blocked by bodies. The gallery stairs are crowded. The windows too high, too public. Her gaze darts left. And stops. Because standing just beyond the edge of the gathering, half-shadowed near one of the stone columns, is a man who does not belong to the noise. He is still. Tall. Broad-shouldered. Dressed in black so precise it feels deliberate rather than fashionable. Old-world tailoring. Authority worn without decoration. His posture alone suggests the room would rearrange itself if he asked. He is watching the crowd. Not her. Which somehow makes him safer. The man behind her leans in again. "Smile," he says. People are starting to notice. Her heart pounds. She makes a decision. She turns sharply, slips free of the hand at her elbow, and crosses the remaining distance in 3 unsteady steps. She stops directly in front of the stranger. And before courage can abandon her, she reaches out, grips the front of his coat, and presses herself close enough that her voice is lost beneath the music. "Hide me," she begs. "Please." For a single heartbeat, nothing happens. Then the stranger looks down at her. Up close, his features are sharper than she expected. Controlled. Pale eyes that miss nothing. His gaze flicks past her shoulder, to the man she fled from. Understanding registers instantly. He does not ask her name. He does not ask what she's done. His arm comes around her waist, pulling her in. Close. Close enough that the world behind her disappears. "That will cost you," he says quietly, lips near her ear. Her breath stutters. "I'll pay," she whispers. "Anything." That is a mistake. His hold tightens, not bruising, not cruel, but unmistakably possessive. The kind of grip that communicates outcome rather than threat. "You don't bargain with words you haven't measured," he replies. The man who followed her hesitates a few paces away now, eyes flicking between them. Recognition dawns on his face. He pales. "My lord," he says quickly. "I didn't realize." "No," the stranger says calmly. "You didn't." The weight of the title drops between them. The man backs away without another word. The crowd swallows him. The stranger does not release her. She realizes belatedly that she is still pressed against him, that her hand is still clutching his coat, that her cheek rests against his chest, where she can feel the steady, unhurried rhythm of his heart. "You may breathe," he murmurs. She does. Slowly, carefully. When she pulls back, his arm remains at her waist. "Thank you," she says. "I didn't know what else to do." "I know," he replies. She studies him now truly. "You're Duke." "Yes." "And you just—" She gestures vaguely toward where the man vanished. "Ended something." "Yes." She swallows. "What did you mean by cost?" His gaze sharpens slightly. "You stepped into my protection. I asked for help." "You asked for concealment," he corrects. "Protection has terms." Her spine stiffens. "I didn't agree to." "You agreed when you stayed," he says. "If you wish to leave now, you may." She hesitates. The ballroom feels different suddenly. Less safe. Eyes everywhere. Murmurs beginning. "And if I stay?" she asks. His gaze flicks over her once, measured, assessing, not leering. "Then you leave with me." Her heart stutters. "Tonight?" "Yes." "That's not hiding," she says. "That's trading one danger for another." He considers her. "I am not dangerous to women who know where they stand." "And where do I stand?" His hand shifts at her waist, not tighter but more deliberate. Here, he says. Until I decide otherwise. She should run. She doesn't. Who are you? She asks. He does not answer immediately. Someone who does not enjoy favors owed, he says at last. They complicate things. And yet you offered one. No, he replies. I accepted a request. The music swells. The crowd presses closer. She realizes people are already watching them now. Not with curiosity, with understanding. She has been marked. If I go with you, she says carefully, what happens tomorrow? Tomorrow, he replies, you will not be followed. And the man who? He will not approach you again. And after that? That, he says, depends on how expensive you decide this favor was. Her breath catches. You enjoy this, she accuses. No, he says quietly. I am cautious. About what? Women who run, he replies. They are often chased for a reason. The truth of that lands painfully close to home. She looks away first. Where would you take me? She asks. My house, he says. Her head snaps up. Absolutely not. Then release me, he says, loosening his arm just enough to remind her she is free. She does not move. Because the man who frightened her is somewhere in this room. Because the Duke's presence is a wall she can feel with her back. Because for the first time tonight, no one is touching her without invitation. Just for the night, she says. Until the crowd disperses. His gaze studies her face, then drops briefly to her hands, still fisted in his coat. No, he says. Her heart sinks. Until you are no longer running, he finishes. That is worse. You don't even know me, she says. He leans closer, voice low enough that only she can hear. I know you hid behind a stranger, he says. And you didn't let go when you could have. Her pulse betrays her. That tells me enough. A carriage horn sounds outside. The Duke straightens, composure settling back into place. It's time, he says. She looks once more at the crowd, at the exits, at the space she would have to cross alone. Then she looks at him. If I regret this, you will, he says calmly. At least once. And you'll still help me? Yes. She exhales. Then I'm coming with you. His hand settles firmly at her back. Good, he says. Because once you step outside with me, you won't be a stranger anymore. They move toward the doors together. And as the cold night air rushes in, she realizes with a clarity that tightens her chest. She didn't just ask a stranger for protection. She stepped into the orbit of a duke who never did favors free. And whatever this costs her, he has already decided it will be worth collecting. The carriage ride is quiet, not awkward, intentional. The duke sits across from her, posture relaxed, gaze occasionally drifting to the window as lamplight streaks past. He does not speak. He does not crowd her. Yet the space feels smaller than it did in the ballroom. As though the choice she made has finally settled into reality. You can still ask to be returned, he says without looking at her. She watches his profile. You do it. Yes. Even after all that? Yes. The certainty in his voice surprises her more than the offer itself. She exhales slowly. Then I won't ask. The carriage turns through iron gates and rolls to a stop beneath a stone archway. His estate rises before them, solid, restrained, ancient enough to feel immune to rumor. Inside, everything is prepared. A fire burns. A room stands ready. Servants acknowledge her presence with quiet respect, as if she has already been explained. You'll stay here tonight, the Duke says, opening a door to a well-appointed chamber. You are not locked in. And you, she asks. I will remain in the house, he replies. That is sufficient. She hesitates. Why go this far? He meets her gaze fully now. Because the man you fled will not accept embarrassment, he says. And because once I intervened publicly, neutrality ceased to exist. She nods slowly. So this cost isn't about repayment. No, he agrees. It's about consequence. Morning comes without interruption. No raised voices. No urgent necks. Just quiet order. At breakfast, she studies him across the table. You never told me your name. You never asked it properly. he replies. She lifts her chin. What is your name? He considers her, then answers. Ravensmere. Her breath stills. She has heard it before. Everyone has. You could have had anyone, she says quietly. Why me? Because you didn't recognize the name when you stepped into my arms, he replies. You chose safety before status. And that matters? Yes, he says. It matters greatly. She sets her cup down. The man from last night, will he come looking? He already tried, Ravensmere says. Her fingers tighten. And he was advised, he continues evenly, that your affairs are no longer accessible. She meets his gaze. Because of you. Because of us, he corrects. The word settles between them. He does not rush her. The day passes with conversation, measured, deliberate. He answers her questions honestly. He does not flatter. He does not promise affection. Only stability. By evening, the truth becomes unavoidable. If I leave, she says, standing near the window, everything returns to how it was. Yes. And if I stay? Then you are no longer available to be pursued, he says. Or negotiated. She turns to him. You're offering marriage. I am offering structure, he replies. Marriage is the visible form. And love. That, he says calmly, is optional. She laughs softly. You're not romantic. I am practical. She studies him for a long moment. You never forced me, she says. No. But you made it clear what the world would do if you didn't intervene. Yes. And you'd do it again. Yes. She takes a breath. Then here's my price, she says. His brow lifts slightly. I'm Lysemin. I won't be hidden, she says. I won't be controlled through silence. And if I walk away someday, it will be because I choose to, not because I'm afraid. He does not hesitate. Agreed. She searches his face. That was too easy. No, he says. That was necessary. The wedding is quiet, efficient, intentional. No spektakel. No gossip allowed to grow unchecked. By the time society becomes aware, the facts are already immovable. She stands beside him not as a rescued woman, but as a decided one. Weeks later, at a gathering much like the one where they met, someone whispers that she was clever to secure a duke. She hears it. So does he. Ravensmere leans closer, voice low. Do you regret hiding behind me? She looks around the room. At the men who now keep their distance. At the women who watch with curiosity rather than pity. No, she says. I regret not doing it sooner. His hand brushes hers briefly. Controlled. Real. Later that night, alone at last, she says the words she's been holding. You never told me what the cost really was. He looks at her steadily. Independence, he says. Shared. She nods. Worth it. He inclines his head once. You chose correctly, he says. And she realizes fully finally. She didn't beg a stranger to hide her. She chose a duke who knew the price of protection. And never charged her more than she was willing to give.